So, at first Alyssa and I were planning on telling you the story of how our wedding cake went from this to this. But seeing as how Alyssa and I weren't as involved in the story as our friends were, we thought it would be a great idea to interview each of them to try to find out what actually happened. And oh my gosh, hearing the different versions of who was at fault for destroying the cake and how they quote unquote saved the cake was hilarious. So now I'm asking you, as the viewer, to act as the detective in the story and try to find out who was responsible for the cake catastrophe, and more importantly, I hope you all enjoy the video.
So I'm Miranda Thomas, and I was at Alyssa and Patrick's wedding, and when they brought in the wedding cake, it was a disaster, and I thought, oh my gosh, what is Alyssa gonna do when she sees this?
So we were trying to make the wedding cake ourselves because my mom and my grandma used to decorate cakes, wedding cakes. But I think everything was just too much stress and it just was not working out.
And at first they decided that they would make the cake. And so they did many practice, when I say many, there were like 6 cakes, I think, around the house, practice runs, and they just weren't content with what they had.
So we went to a bakery 2 weeks before the wedding and we got one and ordered one there.
Yeah, because we tried to do a lot of the stuff on our own to budget and save money, and we still spend a lot of money. But, yeah.
We'll get a professional wedding cake, and then this is just one thing we don't have to worry about. So I thought that was probably a great idea. Less stress.
Alyssa had on a little ivory shirt, and she said, well, this is as dark as I want it, right here. This color right here, and then put white on it. The lady agreed. She said, oh yeah, that would look right. And here's sign here, sign here.
It's the day before the wedding. I'm supposed to go down and set up the venue, and I go to pick it up and they show us inside the box and we're like, oh, there's a cake, and they put the lid back on the box. We take it back out to the car. We are running late.
We didn't know what was taking so long, but finally the lady came out with this big box, and we looked down in it, and it was this very strange, old lady-ish pink color.
I'm trying to get the cake. Pat's trying to get a suit.
The process of getting the suits, well, I'd say it was about as difficult as it is believing anything my mom has ever told me. That's pretty difficult. We show up at the suit store, and they have it all laid out for all of us already, which is fine. We give them the measurements, I get it. But we try on our outfits, and mine fit okay. I mean, I didn't complain about it. It wasn't the greatest, but I went with it. And I look over to Patrick, and Patrick, his shirt is like 3 sizes too large on him, and his pants are like tied right up on him. So he'd mentioned something to them, and they're like, what, you don't like it? Huh. You think you're better than us, and we prepared your outfit. And Patrick's like, dude, it doesn't fit. And then, anyways, they had us have to come back the next day because of their mistake on the outfits, and they didn't want to accept that.
So this is the day before the
The
wedding?
day before, we're already supposed to be down at the venue setting up, and we're like 3 hours away from the venue trying to pick up the cake, okay?
Luckily, we have some good friends that were setting up for us.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful friends.
Some.
Beautifully wonderful friends. No, they were all wonderful.
I'm just playing.
How do you know Alyssa?
Okay, so we met during preparation for Hungary, the country, not like. Anyway, for a mission trip.
They were just hungry and they met.
Yeah, we were hungry, and that's, that's how we bonded. But yeah.
And about half an hour into the trip, after we already left the bakery, I looked at my mom and I was like, so, did you see the cake? And she's like, uh-huh. And I said, yeah, that's not white or ivory. That was taupe. And she's like, yep.
What color's taupe?
I know. It was like a light brown, kind of.
Oh!
Like a tan color.
That's gross.
But I did notice, when I first saw it, I thought, that cake is taupe. I know how much they hate taupe. Why did they pick a taupe cake.
And I just thought, oh my goodness, the girls' dresses are blue. This is going to look like a baby shower. I mean, it's going to be pink and blue. There's nothing going to be, it's going to match.
We didn't have time to try to like figure it out or get a new cake, so we just took it, we laughed, we're like, oh well, too bad, whatever. It's okay. It really wasn't.
Alyssa did not react the way that I thought she would. As a matter of fact, she didn't say anything.
How was the traffic on the way to the rehearsal? Well, it was pretty bad, and I'm from LA, and I've seen some really bad traffic. We were stuck in deadlock for about a good half hour at least, and then we get a phone call from Alyssa saying, "Where are you? We need you here immediately. You should have left early. I knew you should have played video games all night." And, well, she was right. But it wasn't all our fault. We got stuck in traffic. I'll tell you the truth.
We got in the car and we were driving down the road, and I kind of looked over at her sideways, and there was no expression. She didn't look angry. She did not look upset. So I just very carefully said, Alyssa, did you see the color of the cake? And she said, yes, Mom. It looks like old-fashioned ladies' pose.
That's where the happiness ended. So yeah.
Right before the marriage started.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I wanted a white cake with ivory doohickeys on it, and then I was gonna put peach and light blue flowers in it because the bridesmaid dresses are light blue, and the guys, what's it called?
Outfits?
No.
Suits.
Your rose thing.
Boudoir.
Boudoir!
What did I say?
You said boudoir, which is like lingerie stuff.
Alyssa's still getting the cake. I finally make it down to the venue, and it's like nighttime, like 8 o'clock at night. Okay, nobody knows where to set everything up exactly, so we're calling Alyssa and trying to figure it out. I don't have the answers to the questions because I was told I didn't need to worry about anything for the wedding.
That is not true.
Alyssa said have fun. You only get married once.
These people are not that dumb. And then directly after we got the cake, we stopped at the florist on the way down, and they also messed it up. And they messed it up probably worse than the cake people. My peach flowers were burnt orange, like a pumpkin, not peach. And the whole rest of my wedding was pinky peachy. Pinky peachy and burnt pumpkin orange do not go together in any universe. It was absolutely horrendous, and I'm really not that picky. It was horrible.
Peach and orange sound like just a bunch of fruits, not flowers. Just saying.
That's funny.
That's where my mind's going.
Okay, the peach flowers were a wonderful idea.
We arrived on Friday to help set up, and Alyssa and her mother didn't show up until way late that night because they were having a flower catastrophe at the florist, who did not do the colors right, and it kind of looked like 4th of July. But it's okay. Nobody really notices the flowers anyway. They're focused on the bride because she was beautiful, and that's what matters, I suppose.
So we bought a whole bunch of ivory roses because we didn't know what else to do.
5 hours later, arguing with them about that, we got to the venue around 9. They closed everything down. So the next day, it's wedding day! Yay! You're supposed to look happy. We were supposed to eat the cake right after the ceremony in a little reception area right outside. And we got married in September in Georgia, where it's hot. So I think the cake melted a little bit.
It was sitting out at the back of the venue for the whole ceremony, and you could see it slowly drooping the whole time.
And then it was leaning a little bit, but you know, I thought that was probably because of the long drive there and all the bumps and all that kind of stuff.
We did not know the cake was going to fall apart, fall down, lean over, whatever it was that it was doing.
It pretty much collapsed when they moved it to the reception area, and it was bad. It was mush.
Well, I was the one who took it out of the car, so of course there was no super early signs, because if there was, then it was my fault, and I ain't taking the blame for that one.
So I think it was Nick. I think Nick and somebody else was carrying the cake, so I hear.
No, I had nothing to do with it.
So it was like this, and then it went kind of like that.
Okay. First question. Whose fault was it that the cake fell over and who panicked the most? LOL. I honestly don't know. Oh, Rodrigo, grab the dog!
So we had the cake transported down there by one of the groomsmen. And one of the groomsmen kind of carried it a little lopsided, and so it slid.
Wait a minute, which one?
I think it was the blonde one. Nick. I think it was Nick.
Oh, he's in trouble.
He's not in trouble.
I'm about to call him up right now.
It's not his fault.
Who carried the cake? I don't remember any of your bridesmaids' names still, except the ones who I met. So I don't know who carried the cake.
I don't remember a ton. A bad memory.
I don't know. For that part, it was just, it all happened so fast, and it just like kind of, like, I don't know. Was I there? Was I not there? I was there, but it's like, I don't even know. It was such a long time ago, so I'm trying to do the best I can.
I couldn't tell you who, because my memory is not that good, and holy crap, yeah, I'm not going to remember people's names or faces, because I've met them one time.
So it was either a mother or one of your, not your maids of honor, but one of those other ones.
And then the lady who was carrying the cake, I don't even know who it was. Honestly, I don't know whose fault it was. I don't know. I didn't see it drop. I don't know who dropped it. I walked in and there was a box on the floor. And that's all I remember.
Oh, I don't have a concrete answer on that.
Who helped with the cake? I don't remember actually. I think I was busy writing an amazing speech. No one made a video of it, but it was pretty good.
And it kind of like slid in the box, and then it kind of like, the cake went from being like this to kind of, like that.
So the cake fell over.
It didn't fall over, it just kind of like slightly slid, and then there was like crinkles and wrinkles in the icing.
The Leaning Tower.
Kind of, it's like Leaning Tower cake, like, yeah.
Well, I mean, it sort of looked like the Leaning Tower of Pisa had a baby with Stonehenge, and not in a good way. I mean, the cake's supposed to be like this, right? It was more like this. So, I don't know who helped out with it. Maybe one of their hands were longer than their other hand and they didn't know how to balance or something. I don't know. But, yeah, there was some major problems with the cake.
So I opened the box and there was a cake, or part of a cake.
There was like a huge chunk missing out of the cake.
So it was pretty much like this by the time the ceremony was over.
I started to realize there was something going on with the cake that was like not normal.
It was like supposed to be, I don't know, 2 or 3 tiered cake. It was 1 tier because it had fallen and the top tiers had kind of tumbled.
My best recollection was somebody said that the cake was falling and they tried to stop it, so they put their hands up to try to catch it or stop it or something, and then yeah, it went right through because it's cake. But that's it.
It started to tremble like it was an avalanche. And it was silly. I didn't notice there was anything wrong with the wedding cake until it collapsed. But it was good anyways.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is not good. So I called over the other matron of honor and I was like, what what should we do? And of course she freaks out then because she's a perfectionist like I am. And so we're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
So one of my wonderful friends, Daniela, washed her hands and pretty much pushed the mush cake back up on and kind of built the cake shape out of the mush. And then my bridesmaids took the white flowers that I had bought for the ugly cake and pretty much put them all down the side, the mush cake, and hit it surprisingly well.
It's too soft.
Here is the, wow. Okay. Here's the, you can stick the roses all on one
That's
side.
what I was
yeah,
it's gonna need to be on this side right here. All right, y'all go for it. I'm gonna go watch.
How about angles?
So do I need to cut the roses?
It was all. It was pretty much destroyed in that box.
What were your first thoughts when you saw the cake falling apart? Initial reaction.
Oh man.
That's what you said?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
What was your first thoughts when you saw the cake falling apart?
I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this has happened. This is terrible, but we must fix it because the show must go on. This will not be one of the things that go wrong today. And it sort of still did, but we recovered.
And I'm like, okay, everybody needs to calm down. It's gonna be okay. They will not even know. So we take it over to the table and put it on the table that it was supposed to go on the cake table. And it looks even worse when we took it out of the box.
And then I was like, we can't let them see that this is what. Well, I really was like, we're not gonna have cake. Like this isn't gonna happen. Like, you know. But thankfully, it was only one side of the cake that was destroyed. So, you know, well, we tried to make it. But anyways.
Okay, go ahead. I'll try to not be weird.
I have a feeling he's been recording.
Yeah, I've been recording this one time.
Oh, wonderful.
How did you guys actually fix the cake issue?
Okay, so this is what happened. What had happened was, so in the transportation of the cake from the ceremony to the reception,
Nick, cough, cough. We still love you, it's okay.
It had gotten a little soft. So by the time it arrived to the ceremony, it was lopsided inside of the box. So I said, we cannot have this. So what I did was I went to the bathroom, washed my hands super thoroughly, came back, I took my bare hands, took off my rings, all that stuff, and grabbed the two top tiers and slid them back into place, trying my best not to smash my fingers into the icing any more than was necessary. And so once the tiers were back in place more or less, the other girls covered up the fingerprints where the icing got smashed with flowers.
Fingerprints on the cake. Hygienic.
I washed my hands.
I think it was all kinds of hands in there. Just trying to fix, like cover up where it looked bad.
So we had then all the bridesmaids and me, and some other just random people, I don't know who they were, helping, and we had like 12 roses, maybe a dozen, I don't know.
They did a good job on fixing it. They made it nice and pretty with nice and flowers and leaves and all that random crap they found floating around.
And then there was a bunch of flowers and other decorations to try to cover up the messed up cake.
Like when I saw it, I was like, you know, I just kind of just jumped in and started helping. I think Laura was cutting and I was placing.
It was embarrassing to do it in front of the group of people that were coming down with us, especially some of the friends from FBA, but it had to be done.
Oh, I was so impressed that those girls just jumped in and fixed it up and made it the way that we saw it at the end.
Well, later when I saw it all decorated, it looked pretty good, but it was still taupe. There just wasn't anything you could do about the taupe. But that's just the way things go. We had lots of good cake to eat here at home, so it was good.
And then the leaves that came with the flower flowers, like they were good to add on to, because just the flowers wouldn't have been able to cover it because it was such a big chunk.
I mean, it kind of looked like something had gone wrong, but it wasn't like nearly as extreme as what had happened. Because when I came into the reception, they were like, now, don't get upset, but your cake fell over. But we fixed it, but it's kind of... Ugh. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you know. Now, if I had known how bad that it had been before they tried to fix it, I'd have been like, that's stupendous! It's fabulous! It's amazing! Because their fixer-upper job was pretty... yeah.
How did you guys actually fix the cake issue?
Okay, so Daniela saved the day because we opened the box, we saw it was like leaning to the side, and so Daniela ran, washed her hands real quick, and like scooped the cake back up
into position.
And yeah, because it was leaning, and so then she kind of just patted it together
into
so
a cake
and
form.
kind of molded it back on that side, and then a couple of us were like, why don't we like try to cover that side up? So then we like got flowers, which thankfully had plenty of, and
Whose idea was it to get the flowers?
I mean, I don't want to say it was my idea,
Take
but it might have been my idea. But anyway,
We'll see.
we'll see, yeah, what other people say.
Yeah.
And we luckily had extra white roses that I don't know why we had extra white roses, but they were there. And so I was like, oh my gosh, well, let's just put these on. And everybody's like, oh, good idea, good idea.
But anyway.
Ironically, I bought the flowers for that. It was just supposed to be like...
For the cake that's gonna fall apart?
Yeah, I thought we were
You
going to
knew?
put like
Nice
5
planning.
flowers in it, decoratively, in
Not
like
like
one
to save.
little spooch, not the entire side of the cake.
Like you wouldn't really notice it unless somebody was like really like staring at it, you know, trying to find an issue with it. So I think it worked okay. It worked fine. I don't think you have many judgmental people there, or I don't know, I could be wrong, but it worked out fine.
It was really pretty and it worked, and it was kind of facing the back anyway, and so you couldn't really tell. If you looked really closely and saw that some of the icing was missing, you could tell a little, but we tried our best. And Patrick and Alyssa didn't even know until we told them. So that was super exciting, unless they lied, which they could have, because it was kind of bad, to make us feel better.
They saved what any human could possibly have saved from that disastrous mess. On the bright side, it still tasted good.
That's the only thing I noticed. I didn't know it messed up.
Although, one of our friends,
It was delicious.
Miss Miranda, who was in the turkey bowling movie, she said that she saw it fall over, and she saw it, and she thought, oh no, I'm not touching that. Because she thought, I guess I'd be mad, and she like ran away.
But you know, Alyssa, she is pretty good under pressure, but this is pretty bad. And the bridesmaids were standing around the cake hatching a plan about how to fix it. And they did so good because they took the white roses and cut them and arranged them in a way that it actually looked pretty good when they were done.
What do you think Pat and I's reaction would be to the cake disaster? Well, I think your reaction would be worse than Pat's, because Pat is pretty chill. You seem a little bit different. You as in Alyssa. You seem like the type of person who would go and try to get a refund like you did, and Pat would be the one who would just eat what's there and just go with the flow and deal with what happened and not try to get a refund.
What did you think my reaction would be to the cake mishap? Honestly, I think you're used to like the craziest things happening. So it wouldn't have been an ELISA wedding if nothing crazy happened. And that's like bad to say, or I hope it's not bad to say, but it's like, it's kind of weird to say. But that's like, that wasn't even that bad. I honestly didn't think you would even like freak out too much about it just because of your personality. I just kind of thought you would just take it like a, oh, and you know, just with the cover up, I think it worked well. So, I don't know. And I don't even think you freaked out too much about it, did you? Because if you did, I really didn't notice.
I think the craziest thing at the wedding was the fact that the bride herself was sweeping the floor after the wedding had completed. And instead of driving away into the sunset with her fiancé, she was sweeping floors.
When I finally had my tux, my pants, everything packed away, I noticed that I was 2 button cufflinks short. So I checked with other people, and there was some people that were asking the same question. So our biggest concern was the place where we rented the tux from Buford, Georgia. Are they going to charge us for the cufflinks if there's any missing? So one of us made contact with them, and they said, nope, there'll be no charge. And it was like, thank goodness, because we almost had a heart attack.
Next question: What was your job?
So much pressure.
Just funny. All right.
I could never be an actress because it's just too much. It's not meant for me. Clearly.
And I really don't like being on camera either.
It was a great wedding. And even though things went wrong, which happens at weddings, it was still awesome, and it was a beautiful reflection of God's love for us and for y'all. And there was lots of family and lots of people who love you guys, and so I personally had a great time, and it will definitely be one for the books.
This was my first time having a wedding where there were like so many things where we can like, I don't know, like being so involved with like getting there early and like just getting to spend time. No, but like, no, but just like spending time like with you guys, because I think sometimes it can feel like, you know, you just go and you don't really like see the couple and you don't, you know what I mean? Like you're not really there. You're there, but I don't know.
You're
it's
there,
just
but you're
different.
not.
But like I felt like we like actually like spent time together. Like I got to like be part of it more so than just like I'm in the pictures and that's it. So I think just like being able to spend time with you guys was really cool.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah.
My buddy.
What was your favorite part about the wedding? What was my favorite part? Being able to see my friends again. Because I miss you guys.
The most fun was that I got to go up in front of a microphone and sing I Got a Feeling from Black Eyed Peas, and there was more of my singing voice in the background vocals, and it was fun.
I was very proud of the girls that helped fix it up. Alyssa's girls were fabulous, so thank you.
So, other than that, it kind of was a great day, and we had fun, and that's all that really matters. And Patrick and Alyssa will never forget it. So
It worked out good, so no worries, okay?
If I learned anything from the wedding, is that we have some pretty good friends that are hardworking. Made a big difference.
Yeah. We love you guys. So my plan is on our anniversary, our 1 year anniversary.
What plan is this?
On our 1 year anniversary,
This is news to me.
I'm planning on doing a wedding cake do-over. I'll get like a smaller, cute little wedding cake, and it'll be what I want, and it's not gonna fall over or melt or get dropped. That's the plan.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
I guess one of the things that surprised me the most was in typical Alyssa behavior. She worked on this wedding for 6-8 months, every single day. And I kept thinking to myself, what can there possibly be to do every day for this long? And surely, goodness, everybody doesn't spend this much effort on a wedding. At least I hope not. And then after I got there and saw everything all put together and saw how beautiful everything was, knowing how much savings that Pat and Alyssa had done by doing all this work themselves, I really was impressed. Really honestly was one of the most beautiful weddings I've ever been to. And I've been to some weddings that were very expensive weddings. But as far as just plain beauty, the everything was just so wonderful, so pretty. Probably my favorite part of the wedding, and you'll probably never guess this, so take 2 or 3 seconds and try and guess what it was. No? My favorite part of the wedding were the vows. I enjoyed, and I wasn't the only one, everybody in the audience was just wrapped up in the vows and just how heartfelt they were, and the words that were spoken that were just so beautiful and so from the heart, and the humor that was in it. Everybody in the audience, usually during, at least in my experience, during the actual wedding itself, it's just a formality that everyone's trying to get through to get to the reception. But by far, even though the reception was wonderful and the food was fantastic, Ellen, thank you very much. The vows and just the raw beauty of the ceremony, I'll never forget. And thank you so much for being my daughter and my son-in-law. And I really look forward to the future and the things that you guys are going to accomplish, and the enjoyment that we're going to have, the memories that we're going to have when we get old, and that's all we have left is memories. Thank you again. You guys have a great night. Bye-bye.
Alright guys, if you like this video, leave a like down below. Comment your crazy wedding story or your crazy cake story.
Yes.
And subscribe if you want to support our channel. Have a good one, guys.